What the deal be, everybody? I hope you're all doing well. I hope you're all washing your hands, washing your hands, washing your hands, washing your hands, and washing your buttocks.
Spawnomy is the premier podcast spotlighting people of color. Every week, we talk news, what we've been playing, and tell you who's invited to the cookout. Our show is all about talking about gaming through a prism of blackness, because we are the culture. Welcome to Brookago, y'all.
What up, everybody here in Brookago. This is the Spawnomy podcast with Kahlief Adams. I am your host, Kahlief Adams. I hope you are doing well. I hope you are social distancing. I hope you are washing your hands, washing your butt. I hope you're keeping yourself safe in this coronavirus world. I hope you're all doing well. Shout out to everybody who just rolled through in the chat. Shout out to Borman18. Shout out to Sunny Chifa. I love that name. That's pretty fantastic. Yo, everybody here in Brookago, want to give you massive amounts of love. We have a short show this week brought to you by the wonderful folks over at PUBG Mobile. Again, thank you so much for the folks over there for sponsoring the show this week and for the past couple of weeks. It has been really cool to be able to see you all coming and hanging out with us. And rocking with us super strong. It does mean a bunch to us to be able to get that financial help and get our names up in the upper echelon, as they say, with folks rocking with us here in Brookago. So again, massive love to everybody who came through on the show this week. If you missed last week, you missed a fantastic episode with our friends. With my boss, Marcus Kennedy, who is the general manager of gaming over at Intel. It was really cool to be able to bring him on and talk about, being black in the space, talk about, what we're doing over at Intel together. Lots of cool things that we're doing. I'm an Intel employee, so we get to rock super hard and talk about all those things. We also got to talk about DNI efforts that we're putting together, and we got to showcase to the folks who are helping us start that off with Paris Lilly and Aaron Ashley Simon, who are I love them. They are fantastic. They are brilliant human beings, and it's always great to be able to, continue to push forward with the work that we're doing, both here at Sponomy and then, in my day job, doing that work as well. So, I see Chaffee just walked up into the chat and was like, yo, I just scooped some ice cream. I'm ready to kick it. Yeah. I love it. I'm super excited. We're almost a couple of days, literally 2 days away from Christmas. This next episode will drop on Christmas Day. So, holiday cheer to everyone who's out there. Happy holidays to everyone out there who's celebrating Christmas, who's celebrating Hanukkah, celebrating Kwanzaa, all the wonderful things. Solstice just dropped off. I got my superpowers. It didn't give me any hair back, though. I'm pissed. Solstice didn't hook me up with hair. That's the only superpower I want. I want to be Samson, and I can't be Samson because it hates on me. I don't appreciate it. It's not fair. Everybody else got laser beam eyeballs and be able to freeze people and invisibility. I ain't even get my hair back. It's some bullshit. But I am here with all of you, which is super, super fun and important. This week is a really short week in terms of show. There's like nothing to talk about in terms of gaming information out there in the world. It was a dead week, except for Paste Magazine getting out of pocket, comparing Cyberpunk 27 to Hitler. And and somebody else over at the former Deadspin magazine, they have their gaming outlet. I just forgot the name of it. And they put out a really interesting story that was full of nonsense and didn't work at all in terms of the conversation. I may dig into that a little bit. I'm trying to figure out if anybody in the chat has a link to that. If you're a mod, give me that, that conversation about how basically folks from the site were having a conversation around why the media and why the press kind of botched it in terms of covering Cyberpunk 2077 and how we basically enabled, through the work that we do, the defector. That's right. That's a defector piece. Thank you for adding that. I'm trying to see if I can find it. But it was a shitty ass take. It was a bad take. It was a not great take at all. Because what it did was it posited that I'm trying to just look it up. It posited that we as video game folks, as a part of the press, so if somebody has a link to it, shoot me a link to it. Have this other layer of responsibility to not hype stuff and not do that kind of work, and the fact that we all took NDAs to check out the game and not talk about the console version of it and all those kinds of things. It was so dumb. It was such a bad take. And I just didn't know what to do with it because, to be honest, it didn't showcase or have an understanding of how press works from a nuts and bolts perspective. It's a weird thing because you see all these folks who are in that space talking about that from a standpoint of like they've never taken NDAs, which is weird. It's a super weird take to be like, because you took an NDA and because they didn't necessarily show you and talk to you about the thing that they were hiding, which CD Projekt Red was hiding, the fact that the console versions weren't that good, and then kind of shifting the blame to the press is wild shit. I've never seen that take happen. So like mad people are taking hot takes this week, and it's pretty unreasonable, calling us shills and stuff like that. It was super wild that the folks who everybody was kind of rooting for to get away from Deadspin, who had been doing that good work of, unionizing and doing all that work, wind up turning on their brethren and sisterin in the industry, having those conversations in a weird way. So it was wild to see that was the take that happened. And everybody in the industry was like, yo, you stupid. That's a dumb take. It makes no sense. If you've ever had to review a game this long, you have to understand one of the best and worst things about the industry, especially coming at it from our perspective. And again, this is a privileged perspective. I'm saying this out loud. It is a privileged perspective. I'm fully aware of this. I get lots of games for free often because I am a part of the press. I'm a part of the influencer pool, all those things, right? Absolutely, Borman. Borman in the chat says, I think the game industry is generally is poorly understood in many regards. Here's the wildest thing. I've been doing this for 10 plus years. I've only in the past 6 to 7 have kind of moved up the ranks to be able to start getting games like this at launch. The hardest thing to do from a press perspective is to get a game this big and only have a week really to review it. I remember, shout out to the wonderful folks over at US Gamer, the now defunct US Gamer, all the folks who because US Gamer just shut down. Kat Bailey, who ran that, brilliant, amazing person, one of the best people in the industry, gave me a task as a freelancer to do a review of NBA 2K last year or the year before. That game is a big game. It's inconsequential when it comes to like how big that game is. It's not a small thing. You have to write about multiplayer, single player, my team, my career, all the stuff, and basically got that thing in a week. That was the hardest week I've worked in the game industry in terms of trying to figure out good ways to be able to make that information happen for the readership. A game like Cyberpunk, which has a through line, which is its main line story, and then it has its secondary pieces, excuse me, secondary pieces, all the side quests and all that kind of stuff, is a lot of stuff to go through to get a full breadth and depth of a conversation so that you can feel like you've actually done your due diligence when you have played that game. So for these folks who have written this particular shit ass article, it's even worse to not understand how it works and then write a big article about it, and from a position of absolutely not knowing how the industry works or absolutely not understanding how reviewers work. So to put that blame on people who don't do the work, or I'm sorry, putting the blame on the people who do the work when you have no clue how it works is asinine. It's super stupid. Super dumb. There was one thing that they said in here that made me laugh super hard because I was just like, what are you talking about? They were like, basically, you can run through that game in a couple of hours. And I was like, you're out of your mind. You're losing your mind. Audio Lover says in the chat, do you think the turnaround time for reviewers to do game reviews is too short on average? It depends. And we're going to do a little bit of Ask Ka Anything. So questions like this, these are perfect for Ask Ka Anything. Somebody put the SpeakPipe link in the chat. It's speakpipe.com/spawn on me. If you want to leave me a voicemail to do an Ask Ka Anything episode around anything that you want to talk about. Totally down. Game stuff, non-game stuff, world stuff, anything. We'll talk about it. I'll talk about it. Do I think the average time is too short? It really depends on the game. Games like Cyberpunk, you need 2 to 3 weeks to be able to review that properly in a good way. I would even say that for most sports games. Most sports games take a while to be able to get through all the things. Plus, the servers are usually never up. Plus, you have to grind your way through whatever it is if you're doing a story or career mode, any of that kind of stuff. Unless they give you, basically virtual currency to maybe like build out your character and do all that kind of stuff. Then those things kind of change a little bit in terms of how able you are to kind of get that thing through in a reasonable and good way. So it really depends on a lot of different things to be fair. And it doesn't really, and people really don't take into account your own personal space and personal time. Like I remember having to do a review because again, for us as a small outlet, as a run by and owned by and operated by one person, I'm balancing 9 to 5 work, doing the show, being married and trying to be a decent husband, trying to be a decent friend to my friends, marketing the show, doing all the other stuff. There's like 7 different things that I do in a week that all revolve around video games and the show and work and stuff. And sometimes you just miss stuff because you're just so busy trying to knock out everything else and make sure nothing falls off and all the spinning plates don't mix. So sometimes when you get to sit down and like actually play the thing, you're playing at like 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock in the morning because that's when everybody's asleep. You don't have to worry about noises. You don't have to worry about like outside distractions, all that kind of stuff. And again, I chose this. This is not a thing that I'm like, wham, cry for Kahlief because he's getting to play stuff early and stuff. But like, there are things that happen that are human that happen in between that space. So again, it's super wild for these folks to have come through and lay this claim that, you know, the video game folks are you know, basically lapdogs for a CD Projekt Red because people enjoyed the game. Most people, again, every review that I've heard so far has talked about all of it in a reasonable way. The bugs, the good stuff in the game, the things that didn't hit, all the things that lean into that part of the conversation, all felt like they were pretty smartly done and nailed that part of the conversation. I think that if you're really paying attention to, you know, the folks who are doing this work in real ways, everyone has been really pretty on point. I don't think there's been anybody who was like, yo, this is the best game of the year and this is fantastic and everything and nothing's wrong with it. No one has said that. I've seen nobody say that in any of the things that I've seen in any parts of the game. So I think that, you know, I think that there's a little bit of grace that needs to be given to game reviewers and folks who are in the gaming industry. I'm not talking about the kind of like super YouTube-y side that we see when people are being kind of mean and stuff. And we know who those folks are. Right, we've seen those people. We've talked about them in the past couple of weeks. But I think for the folks who are like legit doing the work, we have a lot of stuff to kind of navigate, especially if you're not at a big site. Like especially if you're not at a big site. If you're at a big site, there's people that you can kind of, you know, give that to. You're like, oh, you're the person who plays these kinds of games. Like, here's this thing, because usually big outlets get that stuff before we do. So that's the thing. Like before the smaller sites do and the smaller influencers do. So it was super whack to see that happen in the space this week. And I don't understand what people have an expectation for. Again, I've said this on this show numerous times. I think there's it bears repeating. We live in unforeseen times. This is stuff that we've never seen before with the pandemic. That happens on the production side. That happens on the development side. That happens on lots of different angles and sides right now, where the pandemic has thrown lots of monkey wrenches in a lot of people's laps. Alongside that, you know, game developers are changing up the way they do things. PR is doing a lot of things differently now because we're not going to you know, have hands on with stuff. So the conversation changes a lot. And also, people are sad. Like, people have lots of sad stuff happening right now because, of course, it's the freaking pandemic. The pandemic is happening. So I'm a little bit less, you know, I'm a little bit less worried when we have these conversations around, you know, game reviews and all this kind of stuff. And again, with everything that's happening, this is like so inconsequential. Like, yes, if you lost your $60, I'm sorry. If you didn't get a refund, I'm sorry. That sucks. That sucks. There are people who are really looking forward to this game in big ways. But I think the conversation around the game itself from the beginning has been toxic on lots of different sides. Press, community, PR, CD Projekt Red. Like, I think a lot of people have been botching this all, you know, for the past couple of years. So there's a lot of conversations there to be had about, like, how do we interact with you all at home in decent ways? How do you all interact with us as the consumer and as the reader and as the content consumer in good ways? But I say this all the time, that we live in a very interesting relationship between the consumer, the press, PR, all those folks, where this is the only medium, this is the only consumer product based thing where literally you can roll up on somebody as a person who's in the chat right now, who's on Twitter, who's on whatever social media you choose, and speak directly to the people who make the thing that you love. And there should be care taken with that, because there's no other, product based thing where you can do that. And it's hard for people who get their feelings all in it and get really excited because fandom and all the other things, to not understand that there's a give and take there, and there's a relationship there. And we need to kind of figure out ways to better that relationship too. Chaffee says the problem is also echo chamber. So many voices resonating opinions as fact without playing the game or fully reading multiple reviews. Well, I agree. There's a problem there too, where, and I think, and I will say this, and I don't think a lot of people would say this out loud either. I think that is a part of the culture that's not great. And that goes back to like, I don't know. I didn't grow up with a lot of money. I didn't. I guess we were. I always consider ourselves to be middle class, but when I looked at my mother's paycheck, we were poor. After she died, after my mom died, I got a chance to see. I was like, fixing her affairs, and saw a check that she got from her job, and I was like, holy shit, you make this kind of money? You don't make anything. How are you raising us? How you get, I felt like I didn't want for anything. I was pretty spoiled as a kid from what I could, from, the conversation, and I was lucky because I was raised by a single grandma in the 80s or whatever. And I was just like, yo, how the hell did you like get me a Nintendo and all this other stuff? Like, you bust your ass to do that stuff. And I bring that up because I think to a certain extent, my perspective is that I don't need everything day one. I want stuff day one, but I don't have an expectation to have everything day one. And I think that expectation to have everything day one is where we get to the part that Chaffee is talking about in the chat, where there's a part of that equation where people always feel like they need to have everything as soon as everything happens. And if they don't, then it becomes a problem for some of that stuff. And then the second part of that conversation is, yeah, people just make stuff up because they get into the zeitgeist of the feelings part of the industry, which is also, also kind of dumb. Like, it takes a minute to be able to like take a step back and be like, I don't need to interject my thoughts into this conversation. And two, it's not even really at the space where it needs to be right now. Like the energy is just negative for no reason. So a lot of that stuff is happening. And I think it's all many times just super unnecessary to carry that energy into the space in that way. So I would say, again, that Defector piece was really bad. That Pace magazine piece was really stupid. I didn't even read it, but the title of it was awful. But that's the part that just made me laugh. Fox of the Future says, what that article hugely misses is that CDPR controlled the reviews, PC only, requiring to be played on high spec PCs, not giving reviewers enough time to play the whole game, demanding reviews be given no scores, using process and hiding console versions. Yeah, like they did a crappy job of giving reviewers and consumers good ways to be able to showcase that game. My red flags went up as soon as I heard they won't let you capture your own gameplay and show it. That's a big red flag for most folks who have been doing this work for a while. Dr. Jones, thank you so much for the bits too. That's a part of the conversation that changes that a lot for most folks who are reviewing it, to be like, oh, that's a little bit weird. That feels like you're hiding something. That feels like that's hiding something kind of crucial in that way. Anyway, that's enough Cyberpunk talk forever. I'm playing through it on PC now. I got the most recent patch. I think it's like 1.05. The game feels like it's playing well. I'm still playing through it. I've been taking a bunch of pictures in it. I found some really good hacks to take pictures. So most of my time currently is just playing and kind of taking pictures. But I'll be honest, the conversation and the energy and all the stuff around this game has made me not want to play it. It has nothing to do with the game right now. Like, the game for me on PC is playing fine, but the energy around it makes me not want to play it. And that part kind of sucks because I was really looking forward to it. Even with it being buggy, I was still looking forward to most of it kind of playing the way that it was and felt okay in some of those ways. I do want to talk about what I have been playing and what I did play this week that I thought was really, really good. So let's check out a little bit of what we've been playing. If you're watching this on Twitch, did you notice something in that what we've been playing bumper? We got the new controllers in it. Yeah, super cool, super dope. So what I've been playing. So the main thing I kind of want to talk about, I jumped back into Mortal Kombat. Of course, y'all kind of saw that stuff on stream the other day, which was super good and super fun and really was fantastic. But the thing that the thing that I have been the most hyped about, the thing I had the most fun with this week was definitely Back 4 Blood. Back 4 Blood is so dope. Back 4 Blood is one of the coolest games I have played in a very long time. It is one of those things where it is feeding all the things that I really cared about. I am a huge Left 4 Dead fan, so getting a chance to play a game that feels like Left 4 Dead again from the folks who made Left 4 Dead, and it feels so fantastic. Everything that they've done, they have nailed it. The alpha it was so good. It ended this week. Is it over? I think it was over this weekend. But it is fantastic. It is like literally everything that they tried to do that you kind of, had as the touchstones of what a Left 4 Dead game could be, they nailed. So like the way the guns feel, the way you kind of move around the map, the way that you have all of the, add-ons that you have for your weapons, the way you coordinate with your team. The zombies feel really smart not smart in a like, they are intelligent in the way that they react to things and the way that they move around the screen and stuff, but in the way that they have set up systems to be able to keep you on your toes with the way the director kind of changes things up. So yeah, the gameplay we're showing, if you're watching it on Twitch or YouTube, it was me, Danny Pena from Gamertag Radio, Paris Lily, and some other folks. We were all playing it on stream and having a blast with it because it's so good. We were just rocking it out. We were doing some work and making it happen, but it felt like if you were to ship that game right now, you could ship that game right now and it would be fine. I would pay my $60 for that game currently and totally be fine with it. It would be perfect for me to be able to say, Turtle Rock, you deserve my money. And that was an alpha. So that alpha just felt like everything that I wanted. It had the witches in it. They call them snitches now, which I thought was hilarious. You have bloaters in it that kind of just vomit on you, basically. These huge, let me see if I can find it. These huge monsters with these big arms that roll after you. It just feels so on point of how they figured out ways to build that stuff into the game framework. Like, man, I haven't had fun like this in this way. And it was especially good to be able to play this after all the junky grossness that was around the conversation with Cyberpunk and everything else right now. It was like everything else was just like, I don't want to even talk about games right now. But getting a chance to play this felt so good because of the way that all of it works. and how smartly they've done everything, that it just makes everything feel really, really dope. I was like super, super excited to play it, and had a blast with it. Like, I was dying to play more as soon as I did. And I was like really sad when the actual thing wind up having to get shut down for the drop of the alpha. I am fiending to play more of this game. I am dying to play more. I want to play more real fast, and hopefully get a chance to play some when that game comes out. Like, this game, I want to cover this really badly. Like, I really want to figure out ways to get the devs on the show. I want to figure out ways to talk to them in real ways about like what they did, the transitions between how this game and the previous game kind of came together. Like, there's so many different layers to this conversation about this particular game that I'm just like, yo, man, I'm so hyped for this damn thing. It is so solid. It is such a solid game in that way. It's just like, even if you're watching it right now, like all these zombies, this is, we did this map like 2 or 3 times, and it didn't play like this every time. It wasn't like this horde of zombies that came down the stairs every time. It was like, sometimes it was super, super empty. And then other times it was like World War Z. And I was like, what is happening? And every time felt super good. It was really solid. So I'm very, very, very hyped about being able to get more time in with this. I think it's brilliant. I'm very, very excited for not only what Turtle Rock is going to be able to do with this game, but what other folks are going to be able to do when they start getting mods into it, when you start getting full crews together, when they start building out new enemies and new zombies and new maps. Like, if there is the game that I'm the most excited about right now, it is this. I am the most excited about Back 4 Blood. So yeah, if you didn't get a chance to play the alpha, I feel bad for you. I'm sorry. If you do get a chance to jump on it later on when it does drop, I absolutely will be streaming that game on here, and I will absolutely be bugging the community to play with me because I am hyped. Start the hype machine. I don't care what y'all got to do. Make it happen. Make it work. Do what you need to do, and then we're gonna talk about it because that's the game that I am super unreasonably excited for. So, we're going to take a quick break. We're going to give some love to our wonderful sponsors over at PUBG Mobile. Again, thank you so much, wonderful folks over at PUBG Mobile, for sponsoring the game, sponsoring the show and making the game. You are sponsoring that game and making it at the same time. So that is absolutely true. And yeah, I'm been playing some more this week, trying to make sure that I'm not a scrub on it. And I'm still having a lot of fun. It feels really, really natural to be able to play that game on a phone for a game that I did not expect to be able to, or expect that I was going to have as much fun doing it and playing it as I have been. So we're going to take a quick break. Shout out to PUBG Mobile. Check out this one ad from them, and we'll be back with some Ask Ka Anything to wrap up this quick show. Mad love.
I get dinner, I get it with my friends.
Download PUBG Mobile and play for free.
Again, massive love to our friends over PUBG Mobile for sponsoring the show. We want to give them some love in the chat, give them some love on the podcast, all the wonderful things that we got out there for them, and all them wonderful things. So, real quick, before we start our Ask Ka Anything, again, if you want to be down, if you want to put a question up so that we can check that out and rock with it, so we can do more of these Ask Ka Anything episodes, please do so. This is the perfect time to put in questions because I'm going to be going on a small mini vacation. Also, shout out to Trey and Jay in the chat, some of the best Call of Duty streamers on the gosh darn planet. Got to give them mad respect and mad love because they are brilliant at what they do. So give them love in the chat and in the podcast land. Yeah. Yeah. Again, please put in voicemail speakpipe.com/spawn on me, speakpipe.com/spawn on me. I'm going to be taking a small mini break while I make the rest of the studio look really great. We are 90% done with the studio. I am hoping to be able to show you what it looks like right around the new year. It may be the first or maybe the second week of January where we kind of debut the new studio and stream from not in this room, but in the actual basement where everything is set up and ready to go. I'm getting the last couple of things in terms of gear. I got to do some testing, and that means that I wouldn't be doing live shows here because I don't have a second setup. I only have the one PC to be able to do that kind of work downstairs. So give me some time to be able to figure that out, and maybe you'll see some Ask Her Anything episodes up on the feed instead of kind of normal shows until the first or second week of January. So we're gonna run into our Ask Her Anything and get to our first and only question of the week in terms of some dope stuff that we got in our mailbox. So check this out.
All right, so I have a question. What game would you make if you could have all the resources and all the talent and all the money at your disposal? What was your dream game?
That's a great question. Shout out to Aaron O'Mallow. Shout out to Polarin coming and hanging out with us for Ask Her Anything this week. I would say there's a lot of games that I would make actually. The one that I'm really most excited about, there's two, and people are going to be mad at me because they're going to be like, "Really, Ka? That's kind of whack." I want to make the uber violent version of Mortal Kombat. I think as a big horror fan, it's already at a pretty gory level. I think for me, as a big gore fan in terms of horror, I would love to see them even go further. I know that people hate that. I know people don't like that as an answer. But I am a big like Hostel fan. I love all that kind of stuff. I love all the kind of like super grossness that goes along with those games. And I feel like to a certain extent, we have this new technology that we can kind of go through and use to make things super gross, make it real yucky and nasty and terrible. But that's me. I love games like that. I think they have a place in the space. It also leans into the conversation about like how far is too far, which I think is super reasonable. I think it's mad reasonable to ask that question. But I would love to see an AO title that's kind of MK based, a fighting game that's kind of MK like, that got an AO rating that you could actually buy and play. I think it would be interesting to see what companies would do, even though it's a little bit risque in that way. I think there is some literal meat on those bones to be able to see what they'd be able to do. The second game that I think would be really cool to see would be, I want to do a curling game. I think curling is cool. I know people hate when I say curling is dope, but curling is dope. I think curling is really fun. I think it's pretty awesome to be able to have that be a thing in the video game space, because we never get to see like weird sports get games anymore. Like pool has gotten games and billiards has gotten games, but it's not really gotten any real love. They've always been kind of okay, but not fantastic. Darts, like professional darts, has gotten games, but they're not really that great either. They don't capture the energy that's in those spaces. Oh my goodness, we have Greg Hazy in the chat who just talked about curling. He put the sleepy faces in there. I knew he was going to come in. It's like curling to Hazy is like the bat signal. Anytime you say he comes in and he pops up, he's like, I hate you. I love you. But curling would be a fantastic game to make in that space. And I think about that often because I think of Rockstar Table Tennis. I've talked about that ad nauseum, how much I love that game and how fantastic it is. I think it would be really cool. I also would love to see a game that is based in the hood. there are very few games that are based in the hood. Like there are no games really. Like I remember We Are Chicago, which was a game that was kind of based in the hood. And that was an okay game. It tried a lot to nail the kind of, messaging and the kind of, social justice warrior layers to it, which I think they kind of missed the mark on. But I would love to see a game based in the hood that had a little black girl as the protagonist. I think that would be something new, because little black girls never get to be the protagonist, and they never see their perspectives in games. And I would love to see a little black girl be able to get that kind of love in a game like that. I think it would be really cool. I think it would be fantastic to have some black women writers on it to kind of really give that perspective. I think the hood as the backdrop never really gets love in bigger ways. It's always kind of a thing you roll through or roll to, but you're never like in it. And having that depicted properly, I think would be real cool. I think that would be fire. Of course, there's the other games that I want to do that are like VR based. There are the kind of live inside the body of a marginalized person games that I would want to see. Like, you got pulled over by a cop simulator, like, that kind of stuff. Those things I think will add to the conversation and add a layer of empathy to the video game space in a way that we haven't seen. I think VR is a perfect avenue for some of those games. I think that they are really brilliant ways that you can put somebody else in someone else's body through VR that we don't get a chance to see happen often. And I think that would be a fantastic, really cool experience to be able to have. Shout out to Poland again for sending that question in. Again, speakpipe.com /spawn on me is the place to send in your voicemails. I'll be checking it often. I get an email anytime somebody sends in a thing. And when I say you can ask anything, I seriously mean it. It doesn't have to be gaming related at all. It can be about life. It can be about anything. It can be about the industry. It can be about, how all this stuff was kind of worked, for us. It's a perfect place for you to ask the question that you don't get a chance to ask in chat. So I would say use that to your fullest benefit. Also, massive love to Zach Silver for hooking us up with the new graphics for Ask How Anything. I love them. They're super good. We're going to do some more cool stuff in the future, working on that together. And that's it for this episode of Spawn on Me. It's a really short one. Wasn't a lot to talk about this week in terms of gaming news. It's been pretty dead because it is towards the end of the year. Everyone has kind of gone on vacation. But keep your ears and eyes out on the social medias. We'll be doing some more cool stuff with some folks from my day job side of things, with some more influencers that you will get to like to know. So make sure you're checking out that stuff there. I will have a piece up in Giant Bomb again this year for their end of year Game of the Year award conversations. We're going to be writing that tomorrow and sending that in. So check that out on giantbomb.com. I also have a piece that should be coming up in USA Today soon, talking about a whole bunch of different things there about the future of gaming and what I'm excited for 2021. So that should be dropping fairly soon as well. So yeah, massive love to everybody in the chat. Massive love to everybody who rocked with us. Big love to the fam, Graham Pooh Bear, who raised over $42,000 today for an organization that's working to help folks with spinal injuries. If you know how much we love Pooh is a fantastic person. Got a chance to rock a Among Us stream with Snowback Mike, Kate Stark, Gary Witta, so many other wonderful folks, X Water, all those other cool cats in that space, raising some money for charity. So thank you to Grand Pooh Bear for having me and rocking on that Red Bull stream with all of them. So we're gonna get up out of here. I'm gonna go get some food, eat some dinner, and then we'll see you all next week, probably with another Ask How Anything episode up on the feeds. It may not be a live show on Twitch, but it will be up on the feeds on our YouTube channel and on podcast platforms all around the globe. Friday and Saturday of this week, if you're listening to the show when it dropped this week, make sure you're coming back here to twitch.tv/SpawnOnMe. We'll be doing 2 NFL streams this weekend. So Friday and Saturday, I think we're going to do some NFL streams because I think it's wild card season happening right now. So again, thank you for coming through. Massive hello to you all. We'll see you all in a bit. And probably next time I see you on a live show, it'll be from the new studio. So really excited about that. Really, really hyped for that. And, lots of cool stuff coming for 2021 for Spawn on Me. So thank you for rocking with us. Thank you for supporting us. And we'll see you all soon.